Hello, fans, and welcome back to the Premier League Tactics. In today's video, we are looking at the best signings this year for the Premier League, looking at each and every club and deciding which is the best signing for them. Now, if you're on YouTube right now, I do apologize. I do not have the screen up for any of the signings. If you're on TikTok, you can definitely see what's going on. But I'm going to run through the list pretty quickly here, and then obviously you're going to be able to see everything. What's up, Declan Richardson? Welcome back. I didn't realize you were here last night, so welcome back again. This is the entire list we have going on here, so I'm going to try to stay out of the viewing for the most part, but I do want to know what you guys think on this entire list because there are plenty of signings that have obviously gone through so far, and there's probably going to be more signings coming through, so we will see what happens for the rest of the transfer window up into leading into the beginning of the Premier League season. Now, obviously, starting with Arsenal, Gyökeres makes the most sense that he would be the best signing currently for Arsenal. I do know that they have. How was your day? My day was great, by the way. How was your day? Curious how that was. But Gyökeres, for the most part, it makes the most sense. I mean, if you're looking at Arsenal, they obviously have signed a few different players. Zubamende being another guy that they definitely needed in that midfield. But Gyökeres is the big signing for them. They did need a proper number 9, and they finally have that. And so, again, this should be a big signing for them. I do think he scores multiple goals, double digits easily, plus plenty of assists this upcoming season. Now we're looking at Aston Villa. This one was difficult because when you're looking at Villa so far, they definitely haven't splashed too much cash for a lot of players. But if you're looking at currently they have, I do think you have to go with Bitso, and I do apologize if I'm mispronouncing that. But the goalkeeper himself is probably a good sign because we do know that Emery Martinez is most likely on his way out. So they definitely need a new goalkeeper. So he does make the most sense. Which, speaking of goalkeepers, Bournemouth, I believe Petrovic is also probably the best signing for them currently right now. They probably are going to go and buy a few more players. I wouldn't be surprised by that. But like I said, these two goalkeepers are pretty good. I wouldn't be surprised, again, if they are going to be top-notch goalkeepers, not just this year, but for the upcoming years as well. Pin your goal some more. And what's up, Mark? How's it going there? But going with that, Brighton, Tom Watson. This one, I am not too sure. Brighton, I don't think really have one of the stellar signings just yet. And I put Tom Watson there, but I'm really curious what people think about Brighton right now because, like I said, I was looking at who would possibly be there and who is your favorite player? Favorite player of all time is Michael Ballack. Favorite German player also, but if it's current players right now, West Ham is not Wilson, bro. I do think West Ham, and we'll get to West Ham down at the bottom, they need a striker. Fulkrich was not the right guy for them. He did absolutely nothing last year. And I do believe that Antonio, right? Yeah, I was thinking he wasn't there, but he is there. They need a number 9, and I understand that he is injury prone, but he brings the history of what he's done in the Premier League. He brings almost that leadership role for the most part, and he will be a guy that scores double digits for them. I'm going to say over Stats, and but I went with him. I think he's going to be a good defender. I went with him, and this isn't saying that it's set in stone. I am curious. This is why I have thoughts here because I do want to know what people think on some of these signings for the most part. But going back to the question, favorite player of all time or favorite player currently playing right now. If we're looking at players playing right now, it's Marmoush. So again, Michael Ballack for all time, Marmoush for current players currently playing right now. Then we look at Burnley here. I believe Kyle Walker, same thing. I know he is aged. He's not as quick as he used to be. Not like when he played for Tom, not like when he played for City, but same thing. The guy still has the ability to be a good defender. Now, he doesn't have this quick pace, but he's still smart. He can make a smart decision defending wise, and he has the ability to be a leader again for this club who, yes, are going to be trying their best to stay up this season. They need guys like Walker, and this is why it's a good signing. Now, granted, I know they signed a few other players, but they still need a guy like him. Now, I reckon Chelsea's best signing is Simmons. I'm not sure if Simmons has been signed just yet. If he hasn't, he probably is going to be the better signing. This is going off currently right now, what we've seen so far in the signing transfer window. So if he does come in, yeah, I'd probably put him as well. And I did go back before between João Pedro and Liam Delap because I do believe Liam Delap is going to be a great player. Borna Sosa is terrible. I mean, again, Crystal Palace, I'm looking at who they all have here. Of their signings, I think he's the best signing. It's going to make the most sense for them. Do I think they're going to sign some more players? Obviously, they have to sign more players. So this is why I just put him for now. This could easily change. I wasn't completely sold. I probably should have put a question mark on him like I did with Tom Watson up here because both the players, when I looked at it, I wasn't too sure because it's difficult to say right now. It's preseason. We haven't seen the most out of these players. Your Turin fan last year, terrible. He was terrible, or you're saying Turin was terrible? I'm not too sure. Where do you think Sesko will go? I think he is going to go to United. It seems like they are not going to be going, or he's not going to be going to Newcastle, which is quite remarkable, which is why I have keeping Isak is going to be their best signing if they can keep him yet. I know there's been back and forth with Liverpool if he's going to go, if he's not going to go, but it does seem like he is probably going to stay now, and that has to be their best signing. But otherwise, Alanga makes the most sense for Newcastle. I mean, he is going to be a great player for Newcastle. I think he's him, Gordon, and Isak. If Isak does stay, it's going to be a threatening front three, to say the least. Son leaving Tottenham, what do you think? I mean, not too surprised that Son's leaving Tottenham. I mean, obviously, when you think of Tottenham, you think of Sonny for the most part, Harry Kane, a few other players, but he's been there for so long. It's at some point, again, I'm an older fan of football watching it. You see so many great players come and go, and it's just one of those times that you just realize that sooner or later these players are eventually going to leave the club, whether they stay in the Premier League or again they move on or they retire. So many players I've seen come and go now, and it's getting to the point where it's just he's not the player he used to be. He can play still up to a full caliber. He just can't play to the caliber that Tottenham need him for anymore. He's not the guy that as quick as he possibly is. Last season, you kind of saw him starting to decline for the most part. And I can't remember exactly how the saying goes, but it's something along the lines you want to leave football before football leaves you. And I think Sony is getting to that point where he can easily do well in, say, the MLS. I think he's going to shine quite well. It's retirement league still, and we've seen so many other players go from the Premier League to MLS or other leagues outside the Premier League and do well. And he will do well for another handful of seasons. But that being said, his time at Tottenham was coming to a close, whether it was going to be this year or next year. And I think with the new manager, it just made sense that they were probably talking about what the project was going to be at Tottenham with Thomas Frank. Probably didn't see Sonny for long-term wise, and for him to make a decision, Heung-min Son to leave. Then I think there were both mutual agreements from both parties, which obviously makes sense. Do you reckon Garnacho will join Chelsea? I wouldn't be surprised if Garnacho does join Chelsea for the most part. Do I think he's going to be a good signing for Chelsea? Time will tell on that. I mean, if you're looking at Garnacho, we talked about this last night, that he is a guy that he has the capability. Obviously, we've seen glimmers and games where he's been a very good player, but obviously at United, so many players have struggled, and therefore that is the problem. That you look at Manchester United, you see all these bad, or you see the team they playing really poorly, so you think all the players are bad, but then the players will leave and they play well at different clubs. I think it's the same thing for Garnacho, that if he leaves United, whether he goes to Chelsea, goes somewhere else, I think he almost can't play worse than what he's done at United. So therefore, again, it makes most sense. No, better than Barry, in my opinion, for a toffee. I mean, yeah. Again, these are, like I said, making a few snap judgments, and I think he just played 45 minutes, if I'm not mistaken, in their friendly today. So maybe I'm a little bit biased on seeing that, and I think he still has a huge potential for Everton. But that being said, I could easily see him not being the best signing if you're looking at all the other players they brought in. Chelsea is hate. I'm not sure what you mean there. Drogu is cooking. Kuna is going to cook. Bomo is going to cook. Hoyland is improving. We're going to smoke 2026. Maybe. And it looks like Hoyland is possibly on his way out. I mean, he's been put up for 30 million. So that's a low fee. If you look at all the other strikers currently, oh, thanks. Yeah, this is a nice 1990s Deutschland t-shirt. So, I mean, it has the back of it as well. I'm not sure if I can show you. Yeah. I have a lot of Deutschland apparel, so it's my favorite club or favorite nationality, and that's why I like a lot of the German players. I'm a little biased when it comes to talking about German players. Let's see here. It seems that United players play bad when they want to. Yeah, like I said, I mean, even last year when you're looking at some of the players at United, look at Jadon Sancho, went to Chelsea. Could he have played better? Obviously, but he still played better than he did at United. Ayrton Hogg didn't want anything to do with him. Ruben didn't want him as well. Then you look at Rashford, went to Aston Villa, definitely played better. It seems like there's just some type of issue at United. I don't know what it is, obviously, because if they could figure it out, they would be back to where they used to be with Sir Alex Ferguson, but we haven't seen that in quite some time. Who would be in your dream team? I mean, if we're looking at dream team, it's again mostly it's going to be German players. So whether that is the best team, probably not. But if we're looking at front to back, I'm going to go with Ali Khan. And yeah, I think I would go with Khan, but I could Iker Casillas might be there actually. He's one of my favorite goalkeepers. I think he is one of the best goalkeepers to ever play the game. So I'm gonna actually go with Casillas. Then we're going Philip Lahm. We're gonna go CBs. I have to go with John Terry as being a Chelsea fan. Trying to think, Mertesacker. I do really like him, despite the fact that I'm not gonna say he's one of the best CBs, but again, loved him as a CB. Duran Boateng. Yeah, maybe I'd go with Boateng with John Terry. I think that would be a better look. Left wing, Ashley Cole. Then we're looking the midfield. Probably going to have to go with Conte. It makes the most sense. If we're doing some type of 4-2-3-1, going pairing with him, I would go with Michael Ballack, putting that him with Conte. And then across there, we got to go Hazard. We got to go Cole Palmer. We got to go probably Zola. And up top, I'm going to go with Didier Drogba. Again, all biased. Not that it's the best dream team, but it's the players I really liked watching. Busquets on TikTok. I'm not sure if you're saying I'm Busquets, but I don't speak any Spanish. No hablo español, aber ich kann Deutsch sprechen. You actually don't have a clue about anything. I know. I just randomly talk here, which is why the name is Your Daily Yapper. But thanks for being here. He's a goalkeeper. So he most likely is going to be taking the spot for Emi Martinez because it seems like Martinez is going to be on his way out from Aston Villa. Now, I'm not going to say that he is going to be the best goalkeeper, but like I said, it makes sense that they brought another goalkeeper in. Can you see my comment above, please? I didn't see what you said, so I would do apologize if you write it again. I might see it. Otherwise, comments kind of come flying through here, so I do apologize. I've missed it. AC Milan, 7 champions. I'm not sure what that means, but yeah, anyways. Going back to this list here, because we only got two. I think João Pedro Sosa or Barry's one of those two. Fulham, I mean, we have to only go with him. He's the only signing Fulham have had so far. I'm not sure if they're going to splurge more this transfer window. It makes sense if they do, but again, I'm not too sure how that's going to go. Leeds, I know someone mentioned before about a different player, but Gudmundsson is a guy I think that's going to be very good. I think he's going to be underrated for a little bit. And I think for fantasy wise, if you do fantasy, I'm not saying you have to, but if you do, I would think he's actually going to be a good signing. I think he's just 4 points right now, so it makes sense. Stach and Perry, great signings for Leeds, in my opinion. Great signing for a newly promoted team. Yeah, and I would say Leeds have done a well job so far in the transfer window leading up to this season. I do think Leeds have a good shot to actually make it and stay up this year. I think Leeds and Burnley. I was trying to think. Sunderland have also been doing quite well in the transfer window, but sometimes when you bring that many players in, it doesn't always work out. Ask your opinion on Verts and tell people who may not know what they should expect, please. So, if we're talking about Verts, it's one of those things that he should fit very well under Arne Slot. He is a player that can play multiple positions, very creative, but also he's a very intelligent player. He doesn't make those poor passes, and when he does make those calculated passes, it's almost spot on every time. And he's a guy that can really hit the ball from anywhere, which again is what you want from your left winger. Because I do believe he may rotate with Cody Gakpo on that left wing, but he can, like I said, move into a false 9 if they don't get Isak, because I do believe Ekatike may not start every match, but he can also play a little bit deeper. And because of that, he's going to be a guy that they can really rely on to, again, break down a lot of defenses, especially playing between the lines, which Liverpool do need a guy like that. They can rely on, obviously, Mohamed Salah on that right side, but you can't always just push it on the right side with Salah. And the midfield's pretty stacked, but like I said, having a guy like him being a playmaker, he's going to link up quite a bit, and they are missing that. They need a playmaker that can connect not only with their number 9s, but with the midfield, but also on Kirkes pushing up on the left side. And again, if he does move off to the sides, he can link up with even Frimpong, which again, they kind of know each other a little bit. So therefore, again, it would work out there. But like I said, he's a creative player, can score goals, intelligent, which again, you always want to have players like that that make typically 9 out of 10 times, if not 10 out of 10 times, he's making the exact pass he needs to make. And that's not just doing a side pass, back pass, like forward passes. He's usually hitting the guy with the perfect amount of pace. So, which is why I really like the player, and he should do quite well at Liverpool. Yeah, I agree. And or can he rotate around the right when Salah comes in and Frimpong is making the runs? Yeah, I mean, he, like I said, he can play pretty much anywhere you want in that front 3. Grant, he likes more being on that left side. We're talking about Verts, who, if anyone just hopped in. But yeah, he can play anywhere, and he does understand the overlapping runs, but he then can drift into the middle of the pitch. And when he does that, try to use both my hands. I have my soda here. When he drifts into the middle, that's when you have those overlapping runs with Kirkes, Frimpong, even the midfield themselves, because I have a feeling that Soboslai is going to be playing a lot with him, who does make a lot of runs. These guys are going to be crashing into the box. He's going to be playing those balls into him, and therefore, again, they're going to have multiple outlets to find the back of the net for the most part. Diego for us, I'm not sure who that's for. Wilson is not West Ham's best signing. I'm sorry, mate. Again, I'm putting Wilson there because of the history of him playing in the Premier League. That West Ham need a guy that has the, I'm not going to say captaincy because he's not going to be a captain for them, but the leadership that they're probably lacking as of right now. And they do need a guy that can actually score goals. Last year, West Ham struggled to score goals. They brought in Fulkrich, and he did not do anything. I don't know if it was because of injuries, but it just did not pan out. And he played very well last or 2 years ago in the Bundesliga, and obviously was very well for the German national team. But for some reason, like I said, it just didn't work for him last year at West Ham. Cheers for the chat. Till next time. Yeah, we'll see you next time. Anyways, I didn't get all the way down here, so looking at Liverpool, Verts again makes most sense. Man City, Reinhardt again. I think he's going to be a very good midfielder. I think obviously he's going to be one of the better signings throughout the entire Premier League. I think a lot of people are looking at City and almost writing them off, which I don't understand why people would write them off for the most part. Do you watch EFL Championship football? I try to every now and then, but really it is difficult to sometimes watch it because during the season I'm going to usually watch Chelsea, and I'm not watching every single game. I wish I had the capability, but when you have a family, you have to spend some time with them. So again, I don't get to watch all matches, and therefore again it's difficult to watch some of the championship. And then I'm also trying to watch the Bundesliga, so I'm trying to watch multiple leagues, which gets a little bit more difficult. At Isak for real, yeah, exactly. Isak is probably the better signing here, but if they keep him. But yeah, then Kuna for United, and you could look at Mbomo for the most part, and I'm pretty sure United's going to be signing some more players soon. Brian Mbomo, again, they both are great players. I just think Kuna is the better player because of what he actually can do. He's very creative. The Brazilian flair for the most part. He literally can do anything with the ball. He doesn't need players around him. We saw this last year with Wolves, that he was a phenomenal player. He obviously carried them and kept them up this past year. So I think he is going to be a guy that can really work out on that left wing by himself. They don't have to rely on any of their players overlapping him because he's that good. You went back to training. What are you on about? I'm not sure who we're talking about here. Mosey, Mueller, Wolfie for Wolves. I guess, yeah, that's also a good shout too. I mean, when I'm looking at Wolves here for the most part, I'll start moving my head here. Watching him play in the Club World Cup for Botafogo, is that right now? My brain wants to say Fluminense, but I believe it's Botafogo. He did quite well, and I think again he's a guy that a lot of people are not realizing how good of a player he is, and therefore again I think he will probably be their starting striker at the beginning of the season. Now whether that sticks for the rest of the season, who knows? But I do think again he is a guy that can easily do that. You have opinions on Derby County. My only opinion on Derby County is they still have the record for the worst Premier League season ever, which I would argue that I think Southampton last year was worse than Derby, but obviously they got more points, so people are going to say they weren't as bad. But Derby County is one of those clubs that I mean, I think they're going to be stuck in the championship for quite some time. They don't have I shouldn't say the best players. They just don't have the calibers right now to get back into the Premier League. And if they did, I don't think they're going to last long. He's new. Etanori, 400%. City, yeah. Nori, yeah, was a great player too at Wolves. I think, again, that's going to be a problem for Wolves this upcoming year. Losing Kuna, losing Nori on that left side. Their whole left side just got absolutely demolished. So I'm not sure exactly what Wolves are going to be doing for creativity this upcoming season, because those two guys by themselves did so much for Wolves, and it's going to be difficult. Now, you could argue he wasn't the best defender, but his ability to go forward, dribble, cross the ball, and beat guys one-on-one, and we're just talking about Nori right now, not even Kuna, is quite remarkable. He's going to be a perfect signing for City, but overall, I'm looking at midfield-wise. I think this is a better signing for City. Anyways, we are getting to where we're at here. Forrest, Igor, Jesus, I think. Sunderland, again, Shaka, why I'm putting him there is because of the leadership. He obviously has played in the Premier League at Arsenal. He was the captain. So, again, he's a guy that can easily step up and make the players around him better. was part of the Bundesliga Invincible 2 seasons ago. So again, he is a guy that understands what is needed. And yes, he's a little bit older, but I do think again he has the capability of being the guy that they really can rely on for the most part. But yeah, then Tottenham, we're looking at Kudus and Wilson and Arias, and I think I missed someone up here, which was Henderson at Brentford, which I'm not too sure how I feel about putting Henderson there, but it's the same thing. That's a guy that has played and done quite well in the Premier League, so I'm kind of giving the benefit of the doubt. Paulinho is a good signing for it. Where Paulinho did he go back to Spurs? Because I'm just wondering. I saw him leaving Bayern Munich, but I didn't know if he was actually going anywhere in the Premier League. I just know that they were looking to sell him because, um, well, I'm blanking. I want to say Lescott, but that's not right. The defender for City that now manages for Bayern Munich. Why am I blanking on his name? Company. My brain was going haywire there. Company didn't want Paulinho anymore. So again, not that he's a bad player, but he's definitely a good player. Why Tom Watson? The question mark is on Tom Watson because really when I was looking at all the signings, I didn't think anyone really stood out. So really it was just a coin flip. I put him there. But when you're looking, I think Brighton always do find players, young players that always do well. And again, he could easily be a guy that can do well. As a non-football fan, is Crystal Palace good? I like them because of Ted Lasso. I mean, they're not bad. They're not good. They're like an in-between club for the most part. And they did just win an FA Cup last season. That being said, I'm not sure what meaning this year they did. I mean, they always have good players, but then those good players get plucked each and every year. I mean, if you look at the last handful of years, and I think SA might be leaving this upcoming window as well. I think Arsenal are still looking at possibly buying him, even though they didn't use his release clause, which I'm not sure why they wouldn't. They're still looking to buy him. But they had Olise, who obviously went to Bayern Munich. Wish he would have went to Chelsea. Prior to that, they had Wilfred Zaha, who's a great player, and there was a few other players that they've had. So they always have a good player, but for some reason they can't hold on to those players, which is because I mean it's Crystal Palace. If they could honestly keep some of the players that they've lost through the years, Crystal Palace could be a very good team. Kelleher, better signing for Brentford than Henderson. You might be onto something there. I mean, I went back and forth. Maybe I probably should have put him, but I didn't want to put multiple goalkeepers like boom, 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 three goalkeepers in a row. Maybe I should have put him there. And Boma Granit Kuna, I disagree on that one. Watching Kuna play is ridiculous. He's so much better. Not to say that Mboma is not a bad player, but I think again, Kuna was surrounded by average players. Mboma at Brentford had some better players around him and a better manager, in my opinion. So therefore, again, it worked out. They're both going to do well. It's not like one's going to flop and one's going to do well. I do think they both have the caliber of being a good signing. And so if a guy is not on this list, it's not to say that they're not a bad signing. This is just my opinion on who I think is the better signing. Cherky is up there for Man City. Paid. He possibly could be. We talked about this last night with City. They have so many midfielders. It's difficult to say. I mean, who is all going to start each and every week? So again, he may start every match or he may not. Pep's roulette is always difficult to say the least. So again, it's always difficult to know who's going to start each and every week, but he's probably still going to get minutes. Like he may come in the 60th minute, change up tactics for Pep, which again would make sense. Otherwise, it's hard to say for the most part. Defoe and KWP, both better signs than Wilson. Sorry, I'm blanking on KWP right now. Kyle Walker Peters, is that who that is? My brain, for some reason, my brain's not working right now. I'm seeing that. Where do you think Sunderland will come into the Premier League? Is it Walker Peters? Okay. I mean, Kyle Walker Peters is one of those guys that he does okay, but again, he's not a guy that I think people keep putting up to this like he's going to be this player that reaches this potential, but it doesn't constantly happen. Maybe it will happen now, but for the most part, it seems like every year I feel like I'm let down by him as a player, and maybe it's because of the teams he's playing for, and maybe it will be a better signing for him and the club itself. But I will wait to see for the most part. But yeah, like I said, the reason why again Wilson is here is just because, like I said, they need a guy that can obviously score goals. He's a good goal scorer. If he can bag at least double digits, that's a good signing for West Ham. Because West Ham this year, I do think are going to be in a relegation battle for the most part. And it's not to say that again they have a bad squad. But if you look at the rest of the players, or not, sorry, the rest of the clubs around them, I do think West Ham is going to be one that's going to struggle. I think Graham Potter is probably one of the weaker managers in the league right now. If you're looking at the entire clubs here for the most part, seeing what he did at Chelsea, again, he was just clueless. Even last year when he came in, it just did not work out for them at all. Like, he's lucky that the three teams that went down last season were that bad, because if they weren't there, I do believe West Ham would have got relegated last season with Graham Potter. So again, they need a guy that can score goals. They obviously have multiple issues. They need to defend better. They need a better midfield. They need everything. But like I said, we'll see how that turns out for them. Tomorrow, go ahead, Eagles versus PSV. What's the thinking? Um, I mean, I don't put too much into friendlies for the most part, preseason matches, because for the most part, Bournemouth going to get relegated? I don't think so. Preseason friendlies, it's always difficult because say this all the time, but a lot of managers are always just trying to pick and choose different players, different tactics. So again, if a team loses in a preseason, I don't really lose sleep over it unless they get absolutely bombarded, but not that that happens too often. And again, it's just some of those times that things just don't work out for the players or for the manager that day. They try a whole different complete of players, tactics. It may work, it may not work, and the teams that they're playing may also be playing different tactics that just clicks that day. And therefore, again, it's just trying things out. 100% are lost all their main players. Uh, who are we talking about, Henson? About who they lost? At Bournemouth defense getting picked though. Yeah, I mean, Bournemouth again is another team. I made a video about that, about who I think is going to get relegated. They're definitely in that fixture as well. That I could see them getting relegated. I do think Sunderland is still in that list as well. But again, the fact that they've been signing quite a few players this transfer window, they obviously are going out to sports to stay up, because obviously once you stay up in the Premier League, you get that kickback for being in the Premier League, financial and all that stuff. So again, teams go for it, but I do think it's going to be a struggle this year. They won't be able to cope with the league. What position are Sunderland coming this? I have Sunderland in 20th. I'm not going to lie. Still have them in 20th. I'm going to make another video doing it live too about my final thoughts before the season kicks off. So was that the 15th, 16th? The day before the season starts, I'll probably make another live, because that for like it'll be a lot better looking at all the signings and looking at what's all happened throughout this summer transfer window. And therefore, again, I could see it being a little better. Kostulas is Brighton's best signing. Greek wonder kid. I don't know anything about him, Jeffrey, so that's why I didn't put him in there. If he's that good, I mean, I would definitely follow and watch him play. And again, this is what I'm saying. Brighton are always good at finding these hidden gems for the most part. So I wouldn't even be surprised if that guy is very good. They constantly find guys just in different parts of the entire world, plucking them out. 18, 19-year-old kids for the most part. And all of a sudden, 2, 3 years, they're these great, solid players. You look at that Caicedo, McAllister, Cucurella. I'm trying to think of some of the other players that they had recently that have gone on to do quite well. But they always seem Stupian as well as another player that I'm just thinking of. But anyways, we have postponed 2 matches during AFCON, and other matches we can backups. Soon be Baliba. Yeah, Baliba was a good player last year too. I mean, again, if you look at what's happening at Brighton, their scouting is amazing. I'm not sure again how they find all these players, because obviously every club has scouts, but Brighton seem to always find the perfect players to always fit into their system. Do you think Sesko will sign for United? Um, I I do think so. The only problem with this is they have to sell Hoyland if they're going to try to bring him in, because they can't have Hoyland, they can't have Cisco, and they can't have Xerxes. You can't have those three guys, because with the other signings they brought in, there's no way those players are going to get any time, or one or two of those players are not going to get any time. And it doesn't make sense for them to spend that much on Benjamin Sesko for him to be on the bench, because Newcastle just tried spending, I think, 80 million, if I'm not mistaken, which would have been a record signing for Newcastle, and it got denied. Now, I don't know if that's because the player doesn't want to go there, or again, if they're holding out and hoping that United spent, say, 100 million for the player. Hard to say for the most part. But like I said, it doesn't fully make sense unless they start selling some players. And again, Hoyland is most likely on his way out, but he also has to leave. He's on high wages. I can't remember exactly what he's on right now, if it's 200K a week I highly doubt any club is going to pay that for Hoyland, and therefore he's on a long contract, so he doesn't have to move. It's one of those things that they probably wasted their money on him, but who knows? He could still turn around for the most part. Um, it would be a dream come true after seeing us struggle in Liga One. I'm not sure what French player or what who they stay up. I'm sorry, I'm going back to the comments here. The Belgian player Brian Stein is their best player. Who would that be? You watch I do. I don't watch them. Sorry. The Belgian player. So wait, let me go back. I got my computer here as I'm on YouTube live here. I'm kind of curious on who this Belgian player you're talking about for Brighton. Let me just pull it up here. So are we looking at Diego or De Copier? Let me just look him up real quick then. Max, yeah, Max de Coupier. Let me look him up. Give me a second. Maybe I'll change my opinion. Like I said, I put Tom or how old is he? 24. I mean, he could be a good signing. Maybe I'll put him in my fantasy league. We'll see. I'm not too sure. But that's why I put him there. Man City's best signing, Turkey, for sure. I mean, City's signed so many players. He's a Belgian squad too. I didn't realize he. Hmm. So again, I'm not going to say I don't make mistakes when I select these. So maybe I should have put him there instead of Tom Watson because, like I said, when I was looking at this, I didn't fully know all the players that came in. And it's because, like I said, I feel like Brighton are signing always players that are all over the place. So I'm just looking at where he's played, though. So he was on loan to Westerlo, 64 appearances, 15 goals. Club NXT, 20 appearances, 5 goals. I mean, is he more of a. I'm just trying to read up on him right now. What position does he play? He's a fullback? Oh, wow. He's scoring that many goals then? Okay. I guess that might be a good signing. I didn't realize that. For some reason, I was thinking when I was reading about him that I was thinking he was a midfielder, but full. Okay. Maybe we'll put Max in there instead. People really underestimate Kudus. Yeah, exactly. I think he's going to be a good signing for Tottenham. I do think that Tottenham. Oh, he's more of a left back. Okay, good to know. Because we're going to do a live probably tomorrow. Maybe not tomorrow. We're going to do one for my FPL. I'm going to see if you guys will help me pick my squad for the most part. But Kudus has the ability to be top. Yeah, and again, I think Thomas Frank is a top manager. He's definitely getting the best out of that player as well. And I do think that Tottenham are in this current shift right now. They're losing Son. He's moving on. They obviously have a few other players, Solanke, James Madison, the midfield, Busuma, Bentancur, and I'm trying to think. There's one other guy that helps out in that midfield. But anyways, that by itself is going to be a good team. Their defense, if they can stay fully healthy, they're a pretty good team. You rip Dortmund off with Bellingham, though. Are you talking about Sunderland selling Bellingham back? They need a good midfielder desperately. Are we talking about Sunderland here now, or who are we talking about for the need a better midfielder? I don't think Verts is Liverpool's best signing. Would you say Frimpong is their best signing, or Ekatike, or Kirkez? Because I almost did put Frimpong on my list here, but I felt guilty not putting Julian Fritz, or yeah, Verts. Why that? I don't know why I said Fritz. Verts in there because again, he's such a good player that I think a lot of people, because he's such a high, they paid so much for him. I think people are expecting him just to blow it off right off the top. But I think it will take some time, but he will sell in quite well. It will be Isak for Liverpool. Well, if Isak goes to Liverpool, then yeah, it'll be him. But it doesn't sound like Isak is leaving now. And search a PSV game tomorrow. It's a final. Okay, give me a second. I will search it up here real quick. What type of final is it? And actually, that just made me think. It is John Cruyff Shield. Oh, so this is like the Community Shield, I'm assuming. Again, know nothing about really this league itself, so I'm curious. From Park for 30 million, 100 times more of a steal than Verts for 100 million. I mean, yeah, it definitely is. Verts is a bigger sign than Isak for Liverpool. I mean, I would agree with that, but for the most part, and that just made me think, you saying that, when is the Community Shield? Is that next weekend? Or not Community Shield? The Super Cup. When does Tottenham get smashed by PSG? When is that game? That is August 13th. Today is what, the 3rd? Okay, so that's a Wednesday. Gotta remember to watch that match. Isaac left his Soleil to say he wants Liverpool. That said, Ekitike would be had for EK. My only thing for, I mean, the Community Shield's next Sunday. Okay. Oh, that's when Chelsea play AC Milan. So maybe I won't be doing comment. I'll be doing commentating for that Chelsea match for that day. So I'm not sure if I'll be doing anything for that Community Shield game. Um, what was I going to say? Yeah, with Newcastle with Isaac, the problem right now is that there are not many strikers out there currently. So the fact that Isaac is kind of holding out right here at the end makes it very difficult for Newcastle. And again, it's one of those things. Newcastle don't have to sell him. Even if the player wants to leave, they can let him just sit on the bench, let him rot for the most part until he wants to play. Now, I don't think that's going to happen. I think they will figure something out, whether they actually still do sell him. But like I said, it puts him in a very difficult position then to now find a striker to fill that role. And they obviously, he's on the list here. Wilson left. They lose Isaac. Then they're really left with almost only having Alanga and Gordon as really their attacking threat, unless they do bring in Sesko. But it doesn't sound like Sesko wants to go to Newcastle United. He wants to go to Manchester United. So therefore, again, it's going to be difficult for Newcastle to really find anyone. They could easily look into the championship and probably buy a player from there. I don't know what player they would bring in, but again, it's going to be a downgrade to any player they do bring in if they can't keep Isak. Harvey Barnes also. What about Harvey Barnes? Oh, I mean for attacking threat, yeah, I guess so. And then Jacob Murphy, is that right? So Murphy has a good cross on him. Yeah, but who's he going to cross the ball to? If he has a good cross, it's not like Gordon's an aerial threat. I mean, he can win the ball every now and then. Along on aerial threat. Isaac is, but they need a guy that can obviously win the ball inside the box. But why would you want someone like that in your club who doesn't want to play for Newcastle? Again, it's player wants to be paid what he's worth, which I do understand. But at the same time, the guy is still going to play well because he wants to play next year in the World Cup. Yeah, next year. I don't know why I was thinking the World Cup is 2 years out, but he wants to play in the World Cup, and therefore, again, he's going to play well. He obviously has done well at Newcastle, wants to keep a reputation. Most players, even the one that have struggled like this, most of the time they still figure something out. I mean, there are still a handful of players that doesn't work out. I'm looking at Lukaku at Chelsea when things just went haywire with his interview he did, but otherwise, most of the time they still figure something out. Let's be honest, it's Sweden. Who else is going to start over him? But if he doesn't play all season, I mean, it's one of those things that the manager may not pick him up then. He may go with someone else. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but it could happen. That being said, I'm actually curious because in Sweden's squad, I thought there was one other guy that could also play above Isak, but maybe I'm just thinking, yeah, Jokeres. Yeah, Jokeres is Swedish too. He could easily play over Isak. So, I mean, Isak definitely has to play. And because if he doesn't, Jokeres is going to just be absolutely throttling teams this year at Arsenal. And therefore, again, he could be definitely riding the bench. And this is the thing, too, that, again, doesn't make sense to me because Anthony Alanga, who just went to Newcastle, is also Swedish. So now you have Alanga and Isak playing together. It would make total sense for both those players to stick at Newcastle. Obviously, Alanga just went there, but Isak to stick and play with a national team player because both those guys can play very well together, and then that can be utilized in a national team. But for some reason, like I said, I don't know what happened that Isak doesn't want to stick around, but he should stick around for the most part. And then I'm just looking at the other players. I'm looking at their squad here. Kulusevski, I mean, that's a good player for them, so most part. Bergval in the midfield. So again, they have a few different players that can easily be the attacking third. So it's not like Isak is going to be set up. Shut up, you Yank. Yeah, I mean, I just randomly babble for the most part about different players here. Isak can play in the left wing too. I mean, if he does play in the left wing, yes, but again, I don't know what Sweden actually plays in tactic wise. So I can't speak that he would easily play on that left side if they're going to play Alanga, Jokeres, and possibly Kulusevski. So if they're going to play those three guys, how are you going to fit Isak into that? Again, I'm not going to say that Isak can't play over those guys. Are you from the States? Yes, I'm from the States, but I do support Germany for the most part. Got to be Pascali for Brighton. So apparently, there's been multiple comments about different Brighton players. So it seems like Brighton just made really good signings this transfer window because there's been 4 or 5 different players I've been told to put in there. Now, Sweden should play Isaac Gyökeres together up top, and Laga on the left, and Kulu on the right. But if you're going to play those 4 guys, that's just way too attacking heavy for Sweden because their defense is not very good and they need more midfield presence than those attacking 4 guys. So you can't play all 4 of them at the same time. Portugal World Cup 2026, possible. That is very possible. Thoughts on Watford? Not much. I wish they would be back in the Premier League, but it's not going to happen anytime soon. You need to comment PSV tomorrow. I promise you will be good. You want me to commentate the PSV game tomorrow? I mean, I'm not sure if that's going to happen. I would feel bad commentating because I don't know almost any of the players playing in that match. Therefore, again, it would be me just radically trying to watch and talk at the same time. Whereas if I watch Chelsea, I know exactly what I'm needed talking about, what's going on. Do you call it soccer or football? I call it football, but that's also because I lived in Germany for a while. But if I'm talking to people from the States, then I'll say soccer because if I say football to a person that doesn't watch the sport, they don't know what I'm talking about. They assume I'm talking about a national or the NFL for the most part. So you typically say football. I may say soccer every now and then, but like I said, usually if I'm talking on here or if I'm talking to other people about tactics and when I play, we're saying football. Um, but anyways, let's see here. It will be fun. I mean, I'm sure it will be a good game. Chelsea's best signing, Xavi Simons. Yeah. Why? I gotta look at one thing here real quick, actually, because I'm curious with him if anything else came through. Oh, you know what? I did misspell his name. So let me go back. I gotta change one thing. I made a video about him at Chelsea, and I think I actually misspelled his name now that I'm thinking about it in the title, which is probably why that video is not doing as well. Yep, I did. I put 2 M's. Sorry, you typing that made me realize I misspelled his name. There we go. Simmons, yeah, again. So I made a video on YouTube talking about how good of a player he is. The fact that this guy is like a Cole Palmer, I wasn't gonna say he's exactly like Cole Palmer, but both players are very creative. So it's very interesting to see what Enzo Maresca is gonna do if they do bring him in because obviously we have a lot of creativity in our attacking third. It's the same thing we're talking about some of these other clubs where again we have João Pedro, we have Neto, we have Liam Delap. Cole Palmer, obviously, you're going to throw into there. I would even say Enzo Fernandez, even though he does drop deeper, he plays a double pivot with Caicedo. But like I said, with Lavia, if Lavia is fully fit, it makes more sense to go with Lavia and Caicedo in that double pivot for the most part, not Enzo Fernandez. Then you're looking at a few of the other players we have, Jamie Gittins as well. So there's multiple things. So Simons makes a good signing, but again, it's going to be difficult for him to start each and every match. What don't you understand about Simon though? It's like he can't settle down anywhere. PSV, Barcelona, RB Leipzig. I mean, he definitely settled into Leipzig. I would say PSV or PSG was an interesting one because he was quite young because he is only 23, if I'm not mistaken. So it's not like I mean, yes, he's bounced around, but that's not uncommon for players his age for that to happen. He's 22. So when you're that young yet, you're going to be bouncing around because you play for the academy club, and then you kind of do move around. You get loaned out for the most part. It's not uncommon for again you to move around. 22 years of age, he's definitely going to be moving on to a club, whether that is going to be Chelsea or next season to another club, and that'll probably be the big jump for him. Which again, he's going to do quite well. He grows unhappy way too easily. I mean. I think some players that can happen to you. Can you talk about Borno Sosa a bit, please? Never heard of him before this transfer window. I mean, there's not much to say about him besides that I think he's a good midfielder and adaptable player for um, the team. But like I said, Crystal Palace need more depth. That's the big thing with Sosa because, like I said, they're a team that I think are missing quite a bit of depth. And because they're playing in the Conference League this upcoming year, they need more depth. And the guy again, I'm not gonna say he's gonna just blow them away and everything, but the fact that he can be kind of their left back, left wing back, he can also add to the attacking third. He did quite well at Stuttgart, in my opinion. Again, some people might disagree with that, but I think he was a good player there too. I think he, I'm not even sure. I think he played what 3 seasons there, maybe it was for the most part. And then he bounced around as well. He went to Ajax and then somewhere else. I think someone mentioned he was at Torino, if I'm not mistaken. Hato is Chelsea's best player to sign, though. I mean, he's a good signing, but I wouldn't say he's their best signing. It's so strange hearing an American talk sense about football. I mean, you might be the first person to ever say I've talked sense, so thank you for that. We try our best here when we're talking about what's going on here. I see. Thanks for the analyst. Yeah, like I said, Crystal Palace, the problem with them, like I said, they really have to worry about depth because I have a feeling they're going to push for the Conference League because the thing is, and again, they should be in Europa League. It's a shame with what happened. They won the FA Cup. They should be in it. I don't care that you have two owners. That's my opinion. But they can push for the Conference League. I think they can win the Conference League. And if they do that, then that then puts them into Europa League, assuming that they don't have an issue next season. But like I said, if they do push hard into the Conference League, all the traveling that they're going to be dealing with, they may lose focus on the Premier League. And if that happens, they can obviously start getting dinged quite well. And they do pick up some big injuries because they don't have the depth. That can also be devastating for them in the Premier League. So they might be teetering on the relegation this upcoming year, depending on how all their cup tournaments go. So the FA Cup, League Cup, and then obviously the Conference League. So it's a whole new different ball game for them with the traveling because like when Chelsea went this past year, which again, there were multiple matches. We flew out to Russia and they played it. I don't even know what time it was here in the States. I think I woke up, it was 8 a.m. and they were playing on a Thursday. And then they had to fly back to London to play on a Saturday morning at 7:30. That's the same thing that's going to happen with Crystal Palace. Burnley should low-key be Broya. I mean, Broya is a good player, but I feel like I mean, he has a capability, but it's the injuries he's picked up. He's had some bad injuries because if he hadn't had those injuries, I think he could have been a great player for Chelsea. But I think it was what the AC or what else? The hamstring injuries, multiple injuries had let him down. But he can be a good player. Noni and Simons comes from PSV. Please watch live tomorrow. Again, I'll do my best to watch that game live. I got a few things going. Messi winning 9 Ballon d'Ors. I mean, I doubt that's going to happen, but we will see. Marco Asensio, um, is he considered a signing? Asensio? I thought that was last year. Was he a loan and now he's considered a signing? Because if that's the case, he would be a pretty good player, but I thought he also went somewhere else. I'm kind of curious though. Um, let's see. So yeah, he was on loan, so he's still at PSG. So I don't think has he been signed by Aston Villa because I didn't think they were signing him. ACL knee injury, yeah. So that again, that knee injury was pretty bad for Bro, yeah. Which again, it's a shame because before that injury, he was doing really well, especially at the age that he was. But again, it's unfortunate. It happens all the time to players that are going to be up on the rise and all of a sudden they pick up an injury. And it's just a shame because a lot of the times the players aren't the same player that they were before. Happened to a few other players. I'm trying to think. I would say Hudson Odoi. I think it happened to him with a few injuries. And then why am I blanking on his name in the midfield for Chelsea? Not Kennedy, but I'll think of it who it was. He tore his ACL in a friendly in the States, which again shouldn't have happened. And then therefore, again, he never played well for Chelsea after that. Again, I'll think of his name after a while, or maybe when I go to bed, I'll think about it for the most part. But anyways, yeah, these are the signs we're looking at for the most part. I do think again, Conte. No. Ruben Loftus-Cheek, that's who it was. Loftus-Cheek could have been a phenomenal player for Chelsea. Despite like when he picked up that injury, that was where the big turning point for him. Because had he not had that injury, he was up and coming, doing so well. The way he moved on the ball, with the ball, dribbling, and again for the guy, his size and everything, it's something you wouldn't expect. But after the injury, he just didn't move the way he should have, and it's a shame because he would have been a solid midfielder for Chelsea. Would Simons take Pedro? Would take Pedro if you sign him? I mean, he could, yes. I think I'm a little more biased right now on João Pedro just because of the recent Club World Cup with what he did. So therefore, again, he's almost already paid his dividend to Chelsea, despite the fact that he's only played a handful of games. And I do think he still can be a very creative player. And we even saw what he does off the ball, which is something, again, I don't think everyone notices. him making those overlapping runs and realizing he's not going to get the ball sometimes, that's what you want on a striker. That's what you want with a player that wants to play for your club, because when they make those runs, they are working to help the team out. They're not just thinking about themselves. So therefore, again, João Pedro, we're already seeing that offering to do that at Chelsea. So that's a big, huge plus for him. Do I think Xavi Simons can do that as well? Yes, but I don't know if he's going to or not. It really depends on what he does there. Do you support Chelsea? Yes, I'm a Chelsea fan. So that's why typically whenever we talk about things, we talk about Chelsea. I don't agree with Tottenham one. Sorry, I'm looking where do I have Tottenham here? Kudus, who would you put then as their my other pick for Tottenham actually was going to be Matisse Tells. I thought he was also a very good signing for Tottenham, despite the fact that he was on loan last year. He now has signed for them. So Tells, I think, is actually going to be a great player, which I think he is going to be a guy that plays on that left wing, which I feel like we're talking about a lot of left wingers in this video today. He's going to be playing, I think, on that left wing with Solanke, and then Kudus on that right side, or even Kulusevski. Because again, I'm not too sure how Thomas Frank is going to play with these players, but I do think both those players can play really, really well at Tottenham. So either or, I would say both those guys are going to be good signings for the most part. Nuna's gone 80 million. Did he left Liverpool? I know they were talking about. You think Turkey? Sorry, I just missed your comment. Whatever you said. So I feel the signing of Thomas Frank, the manager, is probably better. You know what? I probably could have put Thomas Frank as that one, but yeah, I wanted to put all players here since we're moving into a new era. Yeah, Tottenham is definitely moving into a new era, which I mean, it should be a good era for them moving forward, because not that again, Ang got him a trophy. You can't discredit that. But it's remarkable how a guy could stick to his tactics and never change it once. I mean, I remember Chelsea just absolutely annihilating them after they picked up, I think, a red card and then maybe an injury, and he still kept playing a high line. Like at some point, you have to realize, hey, like maybe let's not play a high line. Let's drop back. Let's do a low block. We're down a man, something along those lines. But the fact that he stuck with a high line each and every match, it really did leave them high and dry so many times. Thoughts on Chris Richards? I don't really have much thoughts on him. I'm not sure what you mean, like as a player, or what do you mean? Can you elaborate on that? Henson, we know they got two. Oh yeah, so they got two reds. Yeah, and then Nico Jackson picked up the hat trick, which I know people are going to discredit the hat trick, but still a hat trick. So I'm going to give it to him. Well, it's kind of comical because a few of my friends that are Tottenham fans, they actually enjoyed that game. They're like, they played their hearts. I'm like, it doesn't matter if you play your hearts. They got absolutely destroyed. Please put El Haj Malik DFO for West Ham. Wilson ain't good enough. I'm not. Let me watch a. Let me just look up Defoe for West Ham. Because why I'm blanking on exactly who he is. Because he's only 20 years old. Senegal, professional player, left wing. Why do I feel like most of my talking points are all on the left side? Like I feel like everyone that we've talked about is a left wing player, whether it's a left back, a left winger, or even just holds more on the left side of the pitch. I'm not sure why that's the case today in this video. Thiago Silva for Sunderland. That would be remarkable if Thiago Silva went to Sunderland. I still, the guy himself, he is a freak, and I wish he would have stayed at Chelsea for at least a few more seasons. I'm assuming that did not happen, though. He's not going to Sunderland, but I'm double checking now because that would absolutely blow my mind if he did. Yeah, he's still at Fluminense, which I think he's going to end his career there. It would make sense. It's where he started, and therefore, again, I think he's going to end his career there. The Cooper to Brighton is one to watch. And where is Kelleher? Like I said, the only reason maybe I should have put Kelleher up in there, because the only reason why I didn't is because it felt weird putting three goalkeepers back to back to back, which again, maybe I was just getting inside my own head. But I do think Henderson, despite the fact that the guy who he is as a person, I'm not going to get in the conversation with that, but he's still a player that has the caliber of being a captain at Liverpool, won the Champions League, won the Premier League, has the ability to be a leader in the locker room. So again, it's not just him playing on the pitch, it's him being in the locker room, disciplining players, but also bringing players up to where they should be for the most part. You need guys like that in the locker room. I don't care who you are. If you have guys like that, that again raise the bar and the expectation and the standards for the players that are there, it makes a huge difference because when you have so many young players, again, most of them don't know really what to expect. They don't really follow through, or they don't have the strict um, type of procedures that they do, and therefore, again, things slip through the cracks. By having a guy like that in your locker room, he will hold a lot of players accountable. Now, again, I don't know if that's fully going to help him out, but again, it could help him out. He's linked apparently. I now I'm curious. I got to go back and look at who linked. Let me hold on. I'm looking at Thiago Silva now to Sunderland because if that is the case, that would be a phenomenal signing. Let me see here. Chelsea said Thiago Silva, semi. Oh, okay. Thiago Silva. I'm not seeing anything on him going to Sunderland, so I'm gonna assume that's a false claim there for the most part. Um, but if he did, I would love to watch Thiago Silva play some more in the Premier League. Haven't got the bad football knowledge, though. Leeds' best signing is unattended stats. I mean, it could be. Like I said, putting these guys here, maybe I should have put that there are also better sign or not better sign. There are also other good signings because it's not to say that some of these other signings aren't bad signings. These are the guys who I think are going to really make a difference. Though, do you honestly think that Foden should have gone POT when he did? I mean, no, he shouldn't. He shouldn't have won it when he did. I think Rodri would have been outright winner. And again, it's one of those things that a lot of times when it comes to the player of the season, I think in the Premier League, I don't know what happens in La Liga, the Bundesliga for the most part, but typically it's the guy that really just all of a sudden turns it up in the last 3, 4 months. Then, granted, if you have a guy that's done it the entire season, most likely he will win it, like Mohamed Salah this past season. But I think he just shown so well later in that season that again it was one of those things they couldn't not notice it. But like I said, Rodri I think was the best player for City that year, and I would even say, and I was going to say even maybe Ruben Diaz, but now maybe I'm thinking seasons prior to that. Maybe so. Maybe Foden was the second best player at City, but Rodri was definitely the better player. You ready to change kudos to Rodrigo when Fabrizio announces? Is Rodrigo? Is that finally happening? Because I know he's been linked to a lot of different teams, but nothing actually has followed through. So let me actually look here for the most part because I thought he didn't want to go to Tottenham. I thought that was he was declined. Tottenham intensified contacts with 90 million rated Real Madrid forward. Oh, well, if that is the case, that is a huge signing. That would be a big signing for Tom, which they obviously could utilize. You ready to change? Oh, I just read that one. Oh, so I'm way behind in the comments here. Thoughts on Kuna, Sesko, and Bomo? I do think if that is the starting three with United, that is a scary front three. And obviously, Bruno Fernandes behind those three. Bruno Fernandes is just going to have a field day. We're just playing balls left and right, down the middle. He is going to rack up probably an assist almost every match if those three guys are playing in front of him. Despite the fact that he's also going to be scoring goals too, he is going to have a phenomenal season. And I do believe Ruben will definitely get his tactics better this upcoming season. They've had the whole summer now. They've brought in some players. They've offloaded some players as well. It's always difficult when you come into mid-season to try to turn things around because despite this fact that Eric Ten Hag did win trophies at United, he was definitely tanking the entire club. And so Ruben had to steady that ship and had to bring it back up, which obviously takes a lot of momentum. That being said, does he still do it? Possibly. But again, if you have all these players they're bringing in, he can easily do it. Oh, sorry. Thiago Silva linked with Brentford, Palace, and Fulham. Now I'm not going to believe you on that one now. So Rodri was the best 2 seasons in a row. Despite Rodri again, he's a CDM. When you're looking at a CDM, it's hard to fully compare a CDM to any other position because they don't fully are defensive players. You can't really give them a clean sheet, and you can't give them the midfield attributes of picking up assists or scoring goals because they play so deep. They're the player that really clogs up the midfield, but they are that cog that makes the entire midfield operate. So again, if you don't have a guy that can play really, really well in that position, teams struggle. We saw this happen last year at City. That being said, he was so key for them to win so many things 2 seasons ago, and we saw, like I said, how bad they were last year. He's a guy that does crash into the box. He's a guy that can rely on to score outside the box. He's a big game player. So again, yes, I would say if he's fully fit, he could easily win the player of the season this upcoming year. I wouldn't be surprised to put him in there, but I was picking Marmouche for the most part because I think Marmouche is going to win it this year. Had a live last night. Thoughts on that with that? Let's see here. So let's see here. City don't play deep ever. I mean, they still play. They have to play deep. I mean, every team has to play deep at some point because you can't just always do full throttle unless you're Klopp. But even they still drop back every now and then. And the reason why they don't have to play as deep though is because of Rodri. When you have a guy like that, he plays almost as two players. It's like when Conte played for Chelsea and Leicester. If you have a guy that does it so well, you can then push more players up because you can rely on that one midfielder for the most part, that he can cover the entire midfield section. So anytime the balls are coming down the middle, he stops it. They go to the outside. You're assuming that other players are going to stop it, but sometimes Roger would stop those as well. That's why it's super nice to have a perfect CDM that can do all that for you. Forrest's best business was locking Gibbs White in the basement. Now, I probably should have put Gibbs White there for the most part. I still understand what happened with Gibbs White there because that would have been if Tottenham would have signed Gibbs White with Kudus, with James Madison, with again the likes of everyone else they have, it would have been almost a perfect signing for them this summer window. But obviously things happened with how that happened. And again, I'm not sure exactly how legal that was. I do feel bad for Gibbs White, and I don't know some things were said behind closed doors, but obviously he is sticking it down in force. And I mean, he'll still do well there, but it just something obviously happened. And I feel bad for any other players that want to leave that club. It should be Anton Stach. I'm gonna look. I'm gonna see if I can watch a video of him playing because multiple people have talked about him now. So I'm just curious with this guy here. Changes everything. Leeds United. I'm just looking at what position does he play? I wish it would show me. Oh, Hoffenheim. I didn't realize he played for Hoffenheim. Let me see if I can watch this volume down real quick. Let's do that. So I'm gonna watch a video of him right now. He's a midfielder. I'm gonna watch a little bit of his highlights. And again, I'm not gonna say the highlights always give you the best indication of what's going on for the most part. But that being said, if he's a guy that can really control the midfield for Leeds, that would be a good signing for them. And it looks like he's not bad defensive-wise too. Hmm. Yeah, he could be a good signing. Do you think Sunderland stay up? No, I don't think Sunderland stay up. I think they get relegated despite the fact that they, again, are going out and buying a bunch of players. I do think when you buy that many players, it's difficult to have them all gel together, and this season, I think is gonna be very difficult. I mean, the next handful of seasons that have been like that, or the last past season, I should say, not the next coming seasons, have been very difficult for the most part, and therefore, again, I do think that, like I said, they're gonna have a hard time for the most part to end this.